think my biggest advice would be just ask. Graduate depression is real. I'm feeling a bit like Troy Bolton from High School Musical. I'm also currently in the process of preparing my applications for what were the highs and lows of your master's degree. I think I did prefer studying in Nottingham. Obviously the seagulls are a bit scary. Oh, that was definitely a shock to the system. My formal graduation ceremony won't be until... Hey guys, it's Gaia. I can't believe I am even doing this right now, but I'm back. Apologies if the lighting in this video isn't the greatest. It's currently like such a dark and gloomy January day that I'm filming this on. While I'm filming this, I do in fact have like an hoodie that Dan's mom bought me on my legs to try and keep me warm during this. So yeah, very snug. But today I am going to be doing a little Q&A because I feel like it's been ages since I last did one. Like I'm pretty sure it's been about like a year, and I think this is a really good point to do one since I've just finished, well, not just finished my masters, but I've recently finished my masters, and you guys are probably wondering what I'm up to right now and what's next. So the first question is, how are you? I'm kind of alright. I've been better, but unfortunately there's just been a few family issues behind the scenes, and also just adjusting to life after university and all the kind of obstacles that come with that. It's been quite emotionally tough, and at points my life definitely hasn't felt like the most secure. So based on that, I haven't been feeling at my best. Do you miss the student life? Definitely. I think the transition after my masters has definitely hit me like a ton of bricks. It's definitely been harder than I expected, and I think it's a feeling that a lot of people feel when they leave university, you know, that loss of student identity. This September just gone was the first September where I wasn't returning to academia, and that in itself felt really strange at the start, like, and I had so much FOMO, like watching everyone else starting another year of university, feeling like I should be there too. And I think I felt more so like that because I've returned home like every student does. Graduate depression is real. Like I see in a way why people do like a panic masters, because there are literally moments where I'm like, I just want to do like a random uni course just because I want to be a student again. And I'm sure there are many of you guys who have just finished university or have been in a similar position to me who also feel like this. I think it's such a universal feeling, and I think I find a lot of comfort in that, knowing that I'm not alone. I think when you finish university, you sometimes, without realizing it, expect to just magically walk into a job, and currently for me that has not been the case. And while having this extra time has been good in some respects, that like I can kind of finally take a step back and kind of recover from uni burnout, because I feel like I did burn out a little bit towards the end of my master's degree. At the same time, it's been hard not to compare myself to friends who have just immediately walked into graduate positions. Did you enjoy your undergrad or your masters more? I think I definitely enjoyed my masters a lot more, mainly because I think academically I just knew where I was at a lot more, also in terms of things like societies and navigating my way around university. And I just felt like when I went into my masters I had more of a game plan of like what I wanted to kind of get out of the experience. I guess having that knowledge from my undergrad, it did help my masters become like a better experience for me. The problem with my undergrad is that it didn't help that halfway through COVID struck, so I definitely didn't have like the typical uni experience. And then on top of that, my first year was like first year from hell, and then having the extension year because of long COVID and stuff, it just, oh, it was definitely very stressful at times. So sometimes, you know, if you do compare that with like how great my masters went, it's hard not to prefer my masters, just because I feel like my undergrad was a bit of a train wreck. Even though, having said that, I think I did prefer studying in Nottingham very slightly compared to Portsmouth, which is going to sound really controversial to all my Portsmouth friends and lecturers and whoever I guess is watching this from Portsmouth. It's like I preferred my undergrad's location, but then I preferred the experience of my masters, if that makes sense. What were the highs and lows of your master's degree? I think my highs were definitely getting my distinction. I think that just really tops it, you know. Like sometimes I still can't believe that I got a distinction, just because I know how hard it is to get one at master's level. So yeah, getting a distinction overall, getting a distinction in my dissertation and the other modules. Other highs were my supervisor was amazing, and I think that is part of the reason why I did so well in my dissertation. I felt like she really pushed me to achieve like my potential. Another high would be meeting my friend Izzy. Without getting soppy, I feel like I've definitely met a friend for life there. She's just such a real decent friend. I think I'm very grateful for that, because you don't always find those people in life. They're very rare to come across, especially after my undergrad, where I had a lot of friendship groups over those 3 years kind of break down and fall away. I'm missing her so much. So Izzy, if you're watching this, we definitely need a meetup. I think the last few highs were falling kind of back in love with theory, like criminological theory, and as part of my degree I also got to try some really fun and exciting practical things. So if you haven't been following along with the vlogs, I basically did a module called forensic investigation, which basically teaches you how to be a crime scene investigator. Coming from a undergrad where it was very like essay heavy and theory based, it felt so nice to have like one module where you're actually in like a practical setting. Like we got to learn how to do all those kind of things you see on like true crime documentaries, like dusting for fingerprints, blood samples, learning about like ballistics, and also learning how they do it like properly in real life, because I learned through my module that a lot of the time that you see forensics or crime scene investigation on TV, they're actually doing it wrong. Lows, I guess, of my master's degree are probably all the breakdowns that I had over my dis. Despite getting a distinction in my dissertation, there were so many moments where I just felt like I didn't know what I was doing, second guessing myself, like I was like, is this how I should be doing it? Is this enough? You know, all the typical stuff that you feel when you're writing an assignment or doing a dissertation, especially since I hadn't done qualitative research in a while and I'd never done a dissertation on domestic abuse before, or like handling, you know, such sensitive data. So I think the amount of tears shed over my dissertation were a low, even though it did pay off in the end. Another low I'd probably say about my master's degree was the distance between Portsmouth and my house back in the Midlands. Even though when I was preparing to start my master's, I knew that the distance wasn't short by any stretch of the imagination. At the same time, I don't think it properly hit me until I'd actually started like commuting back and forth. If I wanted to go home, I literally had to get a train from Portsmouth to London Waterloo, then change at 2 different tube lines over to London Euston, and then London Euston to Birmingham New Street, and Birmingham New Street to my house. That overall took about 5 hours. Oh, that was definitely a shock to the system. What's your biggest advice for those starting a master's? Coming from someone who struggled throughout her undergrad and would always be so scared to ask like a stereotypically silly question to a lecturer or ask them to expand on some feedback they'd given me, I think my biggest advice would be just ask. I think that is a big reason why I did so well in my masters, because I finally got it through my head that they are there to help me, not judge me. The degree that you're paying for isn't just the lectures, you're also paying for all the support. It seems so simple, but when you're a student and you've got these like professors, you do sometimes feel that imposter syndrome, or like that you should already know these things. And I think it also didn't help my confidence that I was also lately diagnosed dyslexic. So for me, I often struggle with brain fog and like fully understanding the assignment straight away. At the start, it just takes like a bit of time for like what they're asking of me to like fully digest, and I often feel like I have the most silly questions, hence why I'd never ask them, because I'd be like, oh my god, my lecturers and they think I'm like asking them to spoon feed me. If you could redo your degree in a different subject, what would you do and why? Marketing, which is really strange because I never used to have an interest in marketing, or I didn't think I did until I started my YouTube channel and became an educational content creator, but I've developed such a passion for it. I'm not gonna lie, this is probably gonna sound really strange and a little bit corny, but I think since finishing my master's degree and entering the graduate world and like the world of work, I'm feeling a bit like Troy Bolton from High School Musical. Like I feel like I can fully relate to him, which is just, yeah, sounds so weird. For those who haven't seen High School Musical and have somehow been living under a rock, basically Troy Bolton in the story has 2 different loves, drama and basketball, and I basically feel like that right now because I have the love for criminology and working within like the Vaughan sector, which is violence against women and girls, you know, that academic theoretical policy side of me. And then because of YouTube, I also have this love now for creating content and social media and marketing, and I know like you can still find like a career that blends the two, but I still feel like they are quite different. So yeah, if I had to redo my undergrad and my masters, I'd probably pick marketing. Would you ever visit Portsmouth, and do you recommend it? So kind of carrying on from what I said a few minutes ago about preferring Nottingham slightly to Portsmouth, just because I said that doesn't mean I don't like Portsmouth. I really did like studying there. It was completely out of my comfort zone. It was so different to where I normally live and like what I'm used to. Like it was so cool having a beach like 10 minutes away from my house. Just knowing that if I wanted to have like an evening beach walk, I could. And the weather down there, oh my god, it's amazing. Like I think it's definitely something that I miss being up here, especially in the summer. It literally feels like you're abroad. Obviously the seagulls are a bit scary. No joke, they're literally on a whole different upper level. They're so big and they just stare at you when you're walking past and you're just like, is this the day where I'm gonna be shat on? or pecked to death, I don't know. But yeah, other than that, I loved Portsmouth. I also loved that there were so many train stations within Portsmouth. Like, you wouldn't think it because it's actually quite a small like area, but I think it's actually the most densely populated area outside of London, like in terms of the south. So because of that, there are so many transport links. I just felt very well connected. So I might have mentioned it before in a previous video, but I'd never been to Portsmouth or like visited it before I started my masters, so it was quite a nice like hidden gem to discover, and like I definitely will be back. I think there were actually quite a lot of things in Portsmouth that I didn't have a chance to visit when I was there because I was, you know, so focused on my masters, and that's one thing I kind of like not regret. But if I could do my masters experience again, I would try my best to fit in more time to visit those areas in Portsmouth. Favourite moments of 2023, obviously again getting my distinction for my master's degree. I think just completing my master's degree as well, that was really cool. Last year, well not last year now because we're in 2024, but 2022, which still feels like last year, just done my undergrad, and then the next year I completed my master's degree, so it feels very much at the moment like I'm collecting my infinity stones, if you know what I mean. Like,
I am inevitable.
it's almost like getting the momentum going. Another favourite moment of 2023 was winning Student Staff of the Year for my social media marketing work, from my 2 part-time jobs that I did for University of Portsmouth and University of Portsmouth Student Union. That was just so cool. Considering like I'd literally only been there for like 6 months at that point, and the fact that I've been nominated as like a Student Staff Member of the Year, like, and won, like that was just crazy. Another favourite moment of 2023, hands down, has got to be our newest addition to the family, which is Buster, who is my granddad's cockapoo. That was definitely something that wasn't on the cards, but you know, sometimes the best things are, and I think life would just feel so weird now without him. What's one thing that you've learned about yourself this year? So for all of you out there who are struggling with imposter syndrome, this one's definitely for you, which is that I can achieve things, which sounds silly because I've achieved lots of like amazing things before, like being offered a place at, you know, the University of Cambridge to do my masters, you know, student woman of the year, all this stuff, but I just feel like 2023 was really the year of my academic achievement. Like, I just felt like I was just constantly banging out firsts in my master's degree, and for the first time I just really felt like I can do this. But during my teenage years, where I hadn't been diagnosed dyslexic yet, and I was attending a grammar school and surrounded by, you know, all these people who got A stars so easily, I just definitely didn't have that self-confidence. So yeah, I think one thing that I've learned this year is that I can do it and I shouldn't tell myself anything less. When is your graduation? I'm sure this is a question that many of you guys have, considering I haven't shared anything about graduation despite finishing back in August. But my formal graduation ceremony won't be until July this year, which I know seems really weird because in the UK, university graduations are normally thrown either in July or December, and since I hadn't finished before July, you'd expect me to then graduate in December. It does feel like ages away, and I did have a bit of FOMO watching everyone graduate in December. It's crazy to think that by July it'll have nearly been a year since I'd finished my master's degree. I'm not mad about it though, because at the end of the day it's a summer graduation. I think if I had to pick between the two, I think I would prefer that warmer weather. My graduation is obviously going to be thrown back in Portsmouth, so in July I'll be travelling back down there. What is next for me? So that is quite a big question. Again, probably another question that you guys are wondering. So for the last few months since finishing my masters, I've just been applying to graduate jobs and having interviews. I'm also currently in the process of preparing my applications for a PhD, which just feels so scary when you say it out loud. Like, I can't believe I'm at this point now where like the next highest academic degree I could do is a PhD. Like, I can't believe that's just next, you know, which I'm sure most of you aren't surprised about. I think most people probably expect me to do a PhD next. I have been very open on this channel for the last few years now that I have been wanting to do a PhD. Sorry if the angle's just moved, my camera battery just died, so I just had to quickly change that over. I can't give you an exact start date on my PhD because I'm still only in the application process and everything's still so up in the air at the moment. Typically they recommend you take around like 2 years to prepare your PhD application, just because there's definitely a lot more expected of you in a PhD application compared to a master's and an undergrad. One of the things I need to do is a research proposal, which basically outlines what you intend to research and do as a project for your, you know, 3 to 4 year PhD. So I really need to spend a lot of time on that and make sure I get that right. As I mentioned though, while I do this PhD application, I am still applying for jobs in the meantime, and even though I have had several interviews, I just haven't found the right job for me yet. Still unemployed. But despite that, if you do follow me on social media, you will know that I did actually secure a voluntary advisory position with the charity Tender. So I'm basically one of their newest members on their youth board, and Tender are a charity that offer drama and like kind of arts programs to educate young people on domestic abuse and sexual violence. And as you guys know from my dissertation and my own personal experiences, that is just something that's right up my street. I got that back in December, and I actually had my first board meeting this week, which was really cool. Like, I'm so excited for the year ahead. But I do just want to clarify for those who might be a little bit confused that the Tender position is voluntary. It's not a paid position, even though, who knows, it may open so many doors to other paid opportunities. But it's going to be such a worthwhile experience, especially for my PhD application. I think this actually segues really nicely into the next question, which is what made you want to do a PhD? I think I knew I wanted to do a PhD as soon as I realised I wanted to do psychology as a career, or at least I wanted to do psychology at university. Actually, all the way through sixth form and undergrad, I was like, I'm gonna do a PhD. And even though I didn't know at that point like what area of psychology I wanted to work in, I just knew I wanted to achieve a PhD because I've always been the academic type, and just to be able to achieve the highest possible academic level that you could achieve, to be known as an expert in, you know, your chosen field. Like, I don't know how else to explain it, but you know when some people, when they think of what they want to achieve in life, they think of things like they want to climb Everest or they want to run a marathon. Well, achieving a PhD is that for me. It's just one of those things I've always wanted to tick off my bucket list. Like, I do joke sometimes saying, oh, the only reason why I'm doing a PhD is to call myself doctor, which isn't true. Like, I obviously am interested in doing a PhD to be able to have that opportunity to research something that I'm passionate about in more detail, and like I said, be that, you know, leading expert. But also equally, it is really cool to be able to have, you know, the word doctor in front of your name. If I am able to achieve my PhD before 30, just to know that I've got 3 degrees under my belt and I'm already a doctor before 30, like, that just is one of my bucket lists. That's like my Everest. Do you already have a PhD thesis topic in mind, or are you still considering it? Like I said before, I kind of went into this like undergrad PhD journey just knowing I wanted to do a PhD, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do it on. And it's only been since experiencing domestic abuse in my undergrad I've become really passionate about preventing it and educating people on the topic, because domestic abuse is just so misunderstood. I think one of the silver linings of that experience is that it's now given me a focus for my PhD. I definitely don't have like a concrete plan in terms of what the project is going to entail. Like, I know I kind of want to do it around the general area of domestic abuse and preventive education, but I still have a long way to go in terms of like refining it and having a usable research question and stuff. Again, this could equally change because I have so many interests within criminal psychology and criminology. What content will you be making moving forwards? For the last like 4 years now, while I've been on YouTube, my content has predominantly been, you know, university advice, study vlogs, all that stuff, and I'm obviously not at university right now. I'm in this weird post-uni transition period, and even though I do obviously intend to carry on at university for my PhD, that's not gonna just happen like tomorrow. So this has definitely been something that I've been mulling over a lot. What is the best content for you guys? What's the best content for me to film because of my situation right now? So moving forwards, I think my content's gonna start to focus on navigating life at university, the world of work, getting jobs, and the application process for my PhD. I am still going to do university like advice videos because I think there's still so many that I could do, and there have been moments, more so in my undergrad, I was like, should I really do a video on like how to write an essay, because I'm still trying to figure out myself. Whereas now, because I've managed to get like first after first after first, I feel like qualified now, and I have had lots of you reaching out over the last few months asking me to do videos on like how to write like a first class dissertation or how to get a first in every single assignment. So if those interest you, do look out for those. But like I mentioned at the start of the video, my personal life is still very busy, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a video out every single week like I used to, but I'm gonna try. So to make sure that you don't miss out on what I'm up to, I really recommend you follow my other social media as well, such as my Instagram and my TikTok, because at the moment I am posting a little bit more on there. The final question is, what would you like to achieve in 2024? So I think for me, number one, would like to get a job. I would like to complete my PhD application. I would like to travel more, because I didn't really get to travel much last year because of my masters. I would like to get involved in more volunteering opportunities like the tender position, and I guess also graduate. So those are all the questions I have time to answer today. Thank you so much for watching. If there are any questions or topics that you have that I haven't fully covered in this video that you would like to ask me, please comment them down below. I'm more than happy to answer them. But yeah, other than that, I've been Gaia. This has been me reflecting on my master's degree and what's next, kind of life update Q&A thing. I feel like that was such a weird explanation, and I can't wait to see you next time for another video. Bye!